What's up, rock stars? Boom! Hey, hey, hey! Welcome to the SMB Cybersecurity Authority podcast. And my guest today, well, he's almost like a co-host. Will Brooks from Fifth Wall Solutions. They are exclusively cyber insurance. So given that cyber insurance is such a big topic of conversation within the cyberspace, I thought it would be great to have a conversation and with Will and get some of his inputs, insights, and what he's seeing within the cyber insurance market. And really, the audience is really focused. My focus is within the SMB space, helping the small to medium-sized businesses with their cyber solutions. And one of my 10 cybersecurity fundamentals for everybody is cyber insurance. So it's a good fit. And Will, thank you for agreeing to jump on the podcast and have a little conversation today. And tell a little bit about what you guys have been doing at Fifth Wall, kind of the background on cyber insurance, what your all focus is, and give people a little background on you and Fifth Wall.
Yeah. So thanks so much for having me on here, Steve. Always a pleasure to reconnect too. So for those who don't know, Steve is out in Pittsburgh. Fifth Wall's based in Pittsburgh. So he's a local buddy. I am not based in Pittsburgh. I'm a New Yorker. So if I get randomly grumpy for some reason, I'll just blame it on that. A little bit of history. Fifth Wall first. We are a cyber insurance wholesaler, and the best way I can describe that, so to your point, we only do cyber insurance. I actually got a phone call this morning from someone. They must have found my phone number on LinkedIn, like my business number. They were calling and seeing if I did Medicare and long-term care insurance. And I was like, nope, don't know anything about that. Sorry. Like those take some specialization levels too. So we only do cyber insurance. And as a wholesaler, effectively what that means is you have all these insurance companies out there who say, I don't want hundreds of thousands of agents calling me every day looking for quotes. So I'm going to work through this business, and they're kind of be the mouthpiece for all of those agents. And so it simplifies the work on the carrier end. And so that's how we got started out in Pittsburgh in 2015. We started doing cyber insurance and helping local agents with their cyber insurance policies because it's complicated, and it continually becomes more and more complicated. It has not shown any signs of simpling up yet or being easy. And because it's gotten so complicated, during the pandemic, carriers really got hit hard with claims.
Yeah, they did.
And they started, really hard because they didn't require anything for cyber insurance. It was so easy. I like to say you had to show your business had a pulse.
Yeah.
Do you make any money? Sure, you can get a policy. Great. So that was it. And after they all got hit really hard, the carriers started requiring a lot more in terms of security. So we built out a channel where we work exclusively with cybersecurity providers who work with, just like you, small businesses, and we want to help them integrate cyber insurance into the overall cybersecurity strategy of their clients. So that's kind of how we got to this space. Why is an insurance guy talking with a tech guy, right? I mean, that's like the mindset there. And for myself, I was actually reflecting with my wife this morning while we were drinking coffee. When I moved back to Long Island in 2016, so right when Fifth Wall was kind of getting started, but didn't know about it, I was working in property and casualty insurance, and I hated it. Like auto, business, workers' comp, all that kind of stuff. And I did it for about 2 years, and then I left. I was like, I don't want to ever do insurance ever again. But I'm a huge nerd. I'm a techie, all that kind of stuff. And lo and behold, 5 years later, this job opportunity presents itself where it's, hey, you're going to do cyber insurance. And it's like, okay, well, I could probably do this nerdy version of insurance. This sounds more fun. And that's kind of how I got to where I am now.
Well, and I liked the way you shared kind of the evolution from that standpoint, particularly within the cyber insurance pre-pandemic, because I had several insurance companies reach out to me saying, hey, this cyber thing, can you help us kind of figure out how we can determine risk within this cyber? Like, how should we be approaching our clients and telling them about cyber and trying to sell more cyber at that time, as was, addendums and just kind of add-ons to their existing business insurance. And so they come to me and I say, okay, these are the things you should do. And then they go, oh, that seems like a lot of work. And we'd have to pay a company like yours to do this. And that costs us money. And we're not making a whole lot of money on these policies anyway, or these addendums, these riders anyway. So no, we're not going to do that. And I was like, all right. And it's, particularly in the insurance space, and I don't want to get too geeky on the insurance side because I do have an insurance background as well. And when I met up with your president, Reed Wallach, and when he and I connected up, it was one of these things. It was just that synergy that happened, and why it's not surprising that we've kind of stayed in touch with company wise, for so long, because there's no historical risk data within.
Right.
And that's what all insurance is based on, is historical, the actuaries. It's like, give me data, and I can figure this out. And so there's no historical data. So it's like, okay, how do we determine risk? And it's post-pandemic, as you stated, they got their clocks cleaned during the pandemic. And there's a whole bunch of technical reasons around that we won't go into. But really, that whole pandemic shift, now all of a sudden it's like, okay, what are the things, they've reached out to you guys and other cyber folks, and like, okay, what should we be asking our companies to provide us to reduce our risk within this space? And I tell people, and my cybersecurity geek techie friends hate when I say this, but to me, the insurance industry has created essentially a de facto compliance framework. And it's really,
and I like to call it an evolving framework. And that's why things have gotten so complicated is you have a lot of frameworks out there like CMMC and NIST and or CIS controls. Like there's these HIPAA, everyone's kind of familiar with this on some level, and they kind of update their security. Like I know CMMC's just releasing 2.0.
Yes.
And it's been around for a while. So it's not like it's a continuous iteration, where cyber insurance, like you said, is based on actuary data. So what happens is over time, as they start to see where the pitfalls are, where the cyber attacks happen, and what controls were and weren't enabled at the time, versus the people who did not face a cyber attack and did have those controls enabled, they say, okay, well, we're going to require these now. And it kind of is happening yearly, if not monthly. So it does change the mindset.
Right. And I think one of the challenges that you guys have within the wholesale space and being a broker within that space is you have all these carriers, and there's no quote unquote standard from the standpoint of you can have one carrier that says, okay, you need multi-factor authentication and you need end user training and awareness, and be able to show that you're doing those things. And then you could have another carrier come along and say, okay, you need endpoint detection or managed detection and response, and you need to do, show us that you're using, a good backup strategy, like the 3-2-1 backup strategy. So you have these, and it's one of those things that they're kind of